Hello everyone, my name is Caleb Christopher, and this is my project for the Yellow Airport for the Safety Program Management class, with the instructor being Dr. Amanda Brown. So starting off, the first graph we will look at shows the reports per month. Starting off in January, it appears to start relatively high compared to the rest of the months, and it drops down to about 30 and 40 in March, about 20 in April, and then into the summer months, about 15 in May and June, and 0 in July, with July being the lowest. There was 0 reports. Then moves up to August with about 15, again the same as May and June, moves up to 21 in September, and then back down to 20 in October, and then it moves up quite a bit in November, and then it skyrockets in December. This could be due to various things, probably people traveling for the holidays like Christmas and New Year's and other holidays that are in the winter. And so that is the peak for this graph, and it appears the valley is in the summer months, with July being the lowest. So next, the second graph we look at is the group or non-group reports. This graph shows reports coming from group members or non-group members. Looking at the pie chart, there are many more reports coming from group members, which this could be due to a number of factors, but most likely it's because the group members are more likely to be at this specific airport compared to other ones. Next, we have the third graph, and this graph shows the time of day, how many reports happened during each hour. So the peak of this graph is at 17:30, or about 5:30 p.m. And there are many low points, and there's, I would say, two valleys, the first being from 1610 to about 1400. Between those 2 points there's a valley, and the next one would be from our peak at 1730 to about 2330. That would be the second valley. Next, on the fourth graph, this shows the accidents that happen on each day and how many. Starting off at Monday, we have again a relatively high number, about 43 accidents. Moving on to Tuesday, it drops a little bit to 37, and then on to Wednesday, we have the lowest of the week, which is about 26 reports. This could be due to not very many people traveling midweek, or other factors, but I would assume it's probably due to not very many people traveling in the middle of the week. It then jumps up to about 41 on Thursday, 52 on Friday, and our peak being 66 on Saturday. And again, 35 on Sunday, it drops back down, probably due to how many people don't travel on those days. Next, the fifth graph shows a month-by-month counting of the recordables, near misses, and first aid that happened in each month. It follows the same pattern as the months per report, or the reports per month, sorry. And it starts off in January, drops down a little, drops down some more. It drops down completely to 0 in July with 0 near misses. There are a few recordables and first aids, but 0 near misses. It then jumps up and it follows the same trajectory until it skyrockets in December, with it having the most near misses. Next, we have our occupation incident rate. This graph shows the rate, or the OIR. This shows a rate of how often these incidents happen. It follows the same pattern as the reports per month and the graph we just looked at. So as you can see, there's a valley again in the summer months, probably with fewer people traveling than in the winter months, and a 0 in July. And the peak is again in December. Next, we look at the HIRA chart. This chart shows the types of incidents that happened and the HIRA for each type. So by far, the most incidents happened with the deadliest being PPE related. So this was due to employees not wearing the proper shoes, the proper clothing, the proper face mask, respirators, gloves, things of that nature. As you can see, it is far and above almost 100 reports out of the 300. I think it was about 98 were PPE related. It then drops down to material handling and ergonomics. They were almost the same amount. Material handling could be due to luggages and packages and baggage, people throwing them around, almost hitting it, other people and other employees. Next, we have ergonomics. This is due to people tapping and not taking breaks, or picking things up that were far too heavy that they shouldn't have been picking up. Next, we move on to exposure to other. This could be exposure to mold or asbestos or anything of that nature. Then we get to mobile equipment with vehicles and other equipment like baggage carts. Next, we had a few fall-related incidents, not a whole lot, but some that were intolerable. Next, we had some culture-related things, just bad safety practices and people not properly using the correct methods. And it just kind of dropped slowly from there. Next, our top high-risk score that I found was due to some electricians that were replacing light ballast in a cafeteria, and they were working on a live 277 volt circuit. They were not wearing any PPE, no gloves. They did not lock out, tag out, and shut the breaker off. And on top of that, there was a design error that almost caused the electricians to come into contact with the live wire. This was rated about an 8 on the HIRA chart, and the reason for it being an 8 was due to how deadly it could have been. If the electricians grabbed onto that wire, that could have been it. So down here at the bottom, this can be controlled by wearing the proper PPE at all times. This can also be controlled by using lockout tagout methods, by ensuring that the ballasts are powered off, ensuring the circuit is off, and using good safety culture. Next, the HIRA score number 2. This next near miss is due to an employee working with equipment that turns and they did not tie back their long hair. We had a bunch of these in the airport. This was also rated an 8, and this could have been very deadly had the employee got sucked in there, and they could have died. Down here you can see this can be controlled by tying back long hair when working with the equipment that was mentioned or similar equipment. Next, top HIRA score number 3, we have a similar situation, but instead of hair, they were wearing loose-fitting clothing. This also could have got sucked into the machine and could have very easily killed them. This was also rated an 8 on the HIRA chart. And again, this can be controlled by not wearing loose-fitting clothing while working on this type of equipment or similar equipment. Next is the score number 4. The next near miss was rated a 6, and it was due to an employee not wearing cut-resistant gloves when they were needed. This could have led to them losing a finger. This could have led to them losing multiple fingers. They could have very badly hurt their hand. This can be controlled, as you can see, by wearing the proper cut-resistant gloves, wearing the proper PPE. And next we have score number 5. For the final near miss, it was also rated a 6. This near miss happened due to an employee wearing flip-flops to work. This is dangerous because they could have dropped something heavy on their foot. They could have dropped baggage, some luggage, packages, machinery they were working with. A number of things could have happened. So the way this could be controlled is by wearing the proper footwear to work. Next, we have a root cause analysis of the top HIRA score that we found, the electricians that almost got electrocuted working on the light ballast in the cafeteria. As you can see here, we have a possible cause number 1. They were not wearing the proper PPE, the proper gloves. They were not properly protected. The possible cause number 2, there was a design error in the ballast. This was due to the manufacturers. Possible cause number 3, the circuit was not shut off and there was no lockout tagout in place. And down here, possible cause number 4, there were past approved practices that were bad and they were not safety related. So next, we look at the root causes. Possible cause number 1, not wearing the proper PPE. This could be due to bad safety culture, just no one buying into the safety culture and wanting to remain safe, or also the electricians could have just forgot to wear the gloves. It could have been an accident. Next, we have possible cause number 2, a design error in the ballast. The ballast was bad from the manufacturer / the wires were faulty. This wouldn't be on the employees, but you still have to remain safe even when working with faulty equipment. Next, we have possible cause number 3. The circuit wasn't shut off and there was no lockout tagout in place. We just need better training for the employees. There wasn't good enough training. They weren't trained on how to lockout tagout. They weren't trained to shut the ballast off. And next, we have possible cause number 4. Past approved practices were bad. This is again another bad safety culture. People not buying in. There's no safety person currently at the airport. And also a history of inadequate safety practices. By having bad safety history, by not having people that are willing to buy in and practice good safety measures, the, the culture can be horrible. So now we look on how do we fix these things. So starting at the top here, not wearing the PPE. For bad culture, you just have to improve the safety culture. You have to get people that are willing to buy in and practice these things. That way they can remain safe and keep their other employees safe. Next, electricians forgot to wear them. It was an accident. Accidents happen. But you have to ensure all employees are always aware of the need to wear the proper PPE at all times. You have to be wearing the proper gloves, even when not working with electricity. Cut-resistant gloves when you're cutting machinery, or vibration-resistant gloves, the right eyewear, mask, shoes, everything. Next, possible cause number 2, a design error in the ballast. The ballast was bad from the manufacturer, or the wires were faulty. You have to ensure the ballast are in proper condition before installing them in the future. You just have to make sure that all the equipment you're working with, which, as we all know, when you get something from somewhere, it may just be faulty. That's not the employee's fault, but again, you have to make sure that your employees are safe and they know what they're doing and know how to check these things. Next, possible cause number 3, the circuit wasn't shut off and there was no lockout tagout in place. Just need to train the employees better. So how do we do that? We train employees on proper lockout tagout methods, ensure that they know the proper methods for using lockout tagout on not only electricity, but on elevator shafts, confined spaces, everything that needs a lockout tagout, they need to be trained on. And also train employees on other safety measures, including checking for dangerous wire placement. This goes back to the wires being faulty with the manufacturers as well. You just have to check these things and make sure that the employees know what they're doing and what to look for. And down here to the bottom, possible cause number 4, past approved practices were bad. For the bad safety culture, again, improve the safety culture, get people willing to buy in, practice good things, and it'll help keep people safe. And the history of inadequate safety practices, the same thing. Get people to buy in and you can protect them better. So, looking right here at the recordables for cost analysis, we have Ava Patel. Ava Patel was injured with an infection, and the direct cost is $31,401, with an indirect cost being $34,541. That brings the total to $65,942 for an infection. Moving on to Jacob Amber, the cost analysis for Jacob. They had an injury which was hearing loss. The direct cost was about $18,828, and the indirect cost was $20,710. The total for this being $39,538. Moving to number 3, we have William Opal, the cost analysis for William. They had an injury which was a sprain. The direct cost was $30,487, the indirect being $33,535, which brings the total to $64,022. Moving on to Ethan, the cost analysis for Ethan. The injury type that he had was a crushing injury, the direct cost being $67,003 and the indirect cost being $71,703, with a total of $138,706. Moving on to Isabella Molly. Isabella had an injury which was a puncture wound. The direct cost for this was $27,804 and an indirect cost of $30,584, bringing the total to $58,388. Now we move on to the near misses. So for the first near miss we have is the same one that we did the root cause analysis on, the electricians that were working with the light ballast in the cafeteria. So the direct cost for this would have been $158,218. The indirect cost would have been $174,039, bringing the total to $322,257. Next, we move to near miss number 2. Near miss number 2 was a crushing injury type, with the direct cost being $67,003 and the indirect cost being $73,703, bringing the total to $140,706. Near miss number 3 was again a crushing injury type with the same direct cost of $67,003 and the same indirect cost being $73,703, with a total of $140,706. Moving on to number 4, we have a amputation near miss. The direct cost for this would have been $96,003, and the indirect cost would have been $105,603, bringing the total to $201,606. And for the final near miss, number 5, this near miss was again a crushing injury type, with a direct cost being $67,003 and an indirect cost being $73,703, bringing the total to $140,706. Next, we move on to the total direct and indirect cost. So the total direct cost for the recordables was $175,523. The total indirect cost for the recordables was $191,073. The total for both together, $366,596. Moving on to the near misses, the total direct cost for the near misses was $455,230, and the total indirect cost for the near misses was $500,751, bringing the total to $955,981. And again, down here, this total is more than reasonable to justify paying a safety person. Even the lowest of these numbers, the total direct cost for the recordable is $175,523. That is more than what a safety person would make in a year. Probably more than a safety manager would make. That more than pays for itself by having a safety person. Next, would I work for this company? There are a few reasons why I put why I would and why I wouldn't. I would lean to not because of how bad the culture is. That's one of my reasons why I wouldn't. The bad safety culture. There's no current safety professionals, so they probably don't practice safety very well there, as we can see from 300 near misses in 1 year. There's a lot of near misses. Now, reasons I would think about it, there's not a lot of bad accidents. There was no deaths. There was no amputations, not a lot of bad accidents. So that would be a reason to think about it. But again, the safety culture is so bad, you would really have to get all the employees to buy in, and that would probably be very difficult considering they don't have a safety professional on the site right now. Next, looking at the OSHA 300 log, there are a few things that was wrong with this, not too many that were bad. Starting at the left over here, the name is different on the log, Libby Day. This person's name was Isabella Molly, and also for that same work-related injury, they just put first aid, which isn't very descriptive. We need a more in-depth description. We don't really know what happened. All it says is first aid. Next, this line was left blank after Jacob Amber on the 4th line. It was left blank. They could have put William Opel there and Ethan Jasper, moved them both up. Next, at the top right, there's no year number, so we don't know what year this OSHA 300 log is for. And again, on the bottom, there's an incorrect number placement here, showing the total days away from work. So that's everything I found on there. Now, the wellness program for the Yellow Airport. The question is, how do we make our airport healthier? The item that our company will be focusing on is high blood pressure. 22% of employees had high blood pressure. So the goals of the program we're introducing is to lower the high blood pressure our employees are having. High blood pressure can lead to many things, a number of bad illnesses, heart attacks, strokes, aneurysms, ruptured arteries, just an overall bad lifestyle. So what is the program? Our program involves ways that employees can lower their blood pressure. This includes losing weight, exercising regularly by working out, eating a healthy diet, reducing salt and sodium intakes into your diet, limiting your alcohol and smoking intake. Those things are both very bad, along with the salt and sodium. Make sure you're getting enough sleep at night. That's a big one. Tracking your blood pressure. You need to at least check your blood pressure every day if you can. That's a good way to keep track of it and write it down. So how do I get the message out, and what are the rewards? So as far as getting the message out, you post it on the bulletin board. You can send out emails to all the employees, inform them face-to-face when you see them. You can tell them the rewards being a healthy lifestyle, removing unknown dangers that you didn't even know you were going to have. You can minimize health risk, again, with the heart attacks, the strokes, the aneurysms. All those things are very, very bad. So measuring the results. How will I measure the results? I will keep a log of blood pressure of employees. I would ask willing employees, not going to force anyone to do this, make sure everyone volunteers is willing to, I will ask them to check their blood pressure daily. I'll keep a log of all the readings they send me and the steps that each employee took. So if one was working out, if one was eating healthy, if one was doing both of those, if one was doing everything I had listed, and I would compare them to see how much each of these things helps. So thank you for listening to my presentation. Any questions, comments, or concerns, and thank you so much.